Welcome to the David Dean Show, a weekly look at West Georgia Wolves football, brought to you by Systems and Methods. SMI, a proud supporter of West Georgia Wolves football.
They're first and 19, actually, and Willie will drop to throw with some time. Now late pressure, heaves it in.
Got a man.
Touchdown, Shannon Smith.
And hello again, everybody, with head coach David Dean alongside Mitch Gray with the David Dean Show, looking back at Wolves football, a 3-0 record after a win at Albany State. Coach Dean, it was kind of a tale of two ball games there for a little bit. We talked here last week about the importance of coming out of the gate quickly. That part we did with a touchdown drive, right, that first possession.
Well, we really did. I was proud to see our guys drive down and get that touchdown right off the bat and get the early 7-0 lead. Unfortunately, Albany State played a great first quarter. We made a lot of mistakes from a penalty standpoint, got behind the chains a good bit. We had the turnover that they returned down to the 7-yard line and gave them some great field position. But to Albany's credit, they had a very good game plan from an offensive standpoint. We made some adjustments at the half and were able to shut them down.
As far as the good things in the first half, there were a lot of them that got you back after Albany had their run. I thought our drive right before halftime was absolutely huge.
It was huge. It brought a lot of momentum into the halftime, into the locker room. I think the throw and catch was as much a part of that as anything. It was a beautiful throw by Willie and a great catch. Shannon did a great job of shielding the defender off, and it was put right on the money. But for us to be going down 4 instead of 11 was huge in that, and it did carry a lot of momentum to the locker room.
I know they gave you trouble with certain things offensively in the first half of the ball game, and you knew they had good. We talked about it all week. They had good weapons and good players.
Well, they do. They've played some games where they have hurt themselves with penalties. They didn't do that in this game, and that's one of the reasons why they were able to establish runs and be able to move the ball like they did on us. But they were executing very well in their option game, getting out on the perimeter, making the good cuts. They were out leveraging us to the sideline, and that's why they were getting those big plays. And that they had their option rolling very, very well.
Coach, I know coaching goes on all through the ball game. Coach Landry, the defensive staff were adjusting, but was it great to have halftime to really be able to put it in because you took things away from them after halftime?
Well, we did. From an offensive standpoint, we didn't have very many snaps in the first half. I think we were somewhere around 25, 28 snaps in the first half. So our defense was out on the field for a pretty long period of time. And it wasn't an issue where we weren't moving the ball offensively. They just had long drives, long sustained drives. And we, from an offensive standpoint, were on the field pretty quick and moving the ball down the field, so they didn't have a lot of time to make some adjustments. But going into that halftime, we could really sit down and calm our guys down and just say, hey, just play your keys and use your speed to get where you need to be. That ended up being the big difference. And, their two tackles that they had played an outstanding first half. I mean, they really did. They played very, very well in the first half, and I think our defensive ends played a much better second half than their offensive tackles, and that also led to a lot of the demise from them from an offensive standpoint.
When they got in a situation where you would think they would be needing to throw it a little bit, that was kind of what we wanted all night long, wasn't it?
Well, it did. If you can put them into a throwing situation, that's not what they're comfortable doing, but they did hit some big throws. They threw a lot of back shoulder throws off of our man coverage, and their receivers made some circus catches. So it's exactly what we talked about. We knew we were going to get their best going into their home, and that's exactly what we did. Just fortunately for us, we played much better defensively, and we started clicking a little bit offensively and eliminating some of those penalties in the second half.
You talk about offense. Other than the fumble and a couple of penalties that hurt, offensively, we did move the ball well all half.
We did. We were moving the ball well. We even moved it well in the first half. We just, we had a couple of illegal procedure calls that put us behind the chains. Then we did have that one fumble that ended a drive, but there was a couple of times that we were driving all the way down into the red zone very quickly and making some big plays. And that was one of the things where our defense was out on the field so much because our series that we had were big play series. But in the second half, we were more methodical in what we were doing and holding the ball a little bit longer, which I think helped out our defense as well.
It was a game, Coach, as everything got started there Saturday. It looked like there was a little, chippiness or yah-yah going on. Our guys held their poise, I thought, really well.
Well, the incident that happened on their sideline with Tyler Jack, that I was very pleased with how Tyler handled that, because that really could have gotten ugly, and it just shows they tossed one of their players out of the game and did not toss Tyler out, and I'm proud of him for that. He made a great play. The guy just got upset with Tyler and started swinging at him and doing that. So it was, when that incident happened, nobody on our sideline ever made a move, and that's good. I'm glad to see that. Our guys were focused in on what was going on and realizing that the team is much bigger than those incidences like that. So I was really, really proud of our guys for holding their poise.
Brutally hot day. Conditions there are never easy. Again, we looked like a well-conditioned football team for most of the ball game.
We really did. It was hot. It was extremely hot, especially in warm-ups, and that was one of the things that we were concerned with. We tried not to warm up too fast. We were slow and methodical in our warm-up so we didn't wear our guys out. But for the third straight game, we have gone through with not losing anybody to any cramp situations. And I was really worried about that playing on that surface, because it is a higher grass surface. It's a little bit more cushiony than what we're playing on. And that wears on your calves and it wears on your thighs. But we had nobody go out of the football game with any heat issues or cramp issues. And that just goes to tell you how hard our guys have worked in the summer.
We talk about individual accomplishments during the ballgame. We had a lot of them. First of all, you got to start with Willie Candler. Threw for 3, had a heck of a run for a touchdown, had one of the great blocks of the year on that run as well. But a big night for Willie.
It was. I was very proud of Willie again for the second straight week in the way that he played. He threw the ball extremely well, made great reads, delivered the ball where it needed to go and on time. But he also had some very key runs. When they were dropping back and putting a lot of guys in coverage, he was reading that, he was tucking it and taking it down the field. And I'll tell you this now, he took some shots in that game. He was going to be sore on Sunday. I knew he was going to be sore, but he kept battling. And there was a couple of times I think that we probably could have had a roughing the passer call. There was one time that they hit him right up underneath the chin, and that was on the touchdown pass that he threw to Shannon Smith. He took a forearm right up underneath the chin, but he kept battling. And just, again, another outstanding game by Willie.
You mentioned Shannon Smith. His biggest night of the year as far as producing, found his way into the end zone. He was a big factor.
He was. I was kind of shocked when you go back and look. He really didn't have a lot of catches, if any catches, going into that game. And he had 4 big key catches for us, and he and Tommy Lester and DeAndre Glenn all rotated into that game. So when he was in there, he was very, very productive for us. The corner route that he caught on the touchdown was just a beautiful move. He was one-on-one with the safety. He made a great move towards the post and separated himself from that really good safety that they have. So I was glad to see Shannon step up and make those plays for us.
I know one thing, it has always made David Dean smile, big plays in the kicking game, and a little guy from LaGrange gave you a big play.
Boy, he really did. He had one in the first half where he smart, and he sat down on it, and he's a guy that wants to make plays. And when we came out, we talked about let's do something to get momentum back on our side. Let's make a big play. Somehow or another, make a big play. And, boy, he answered that call. And great blocking by everybody. We did a great job of opening up the hole. And there's about 2 guys that we can't block on that kickoff return by the way that we design it. And he made those 2 guys miss and then just used his speed to run the rest of the way. But I think more than anything else, that was the biggest momentum changer in that game, to come out in the half and take the lead immediately. You could look across over there and they were like, oh, my gosh, these guys aren't folding. And I was proud of our guys for that, because we were down 21-10 at one time. Our guys never panicked. They stayed in there, and it proved it in the second half when we came out and started it off with that kickoff return.
Isn't it interesting? We've talked about all these individuals with big moments and big plays, and haven't talked about a guy who ran for $140 in Devontae Jackson yet.
Boy, he was on a mission in that game. He broke a lot of tackles. He broke tackles on a team that is very good tackling in the secondary. Made some great moves. Our offensive line did a great job of opening up some holes. And, again, he's a guy that is very, very key to our offense. He and Christian Royalston right now are playing excellent football, and they're running the ball very well and seeing things very well. He was obviously upset that he had the fumble that they returned, but if you will think back, right after that fumble, they kicked off to us, and he immediately broke about a 25-yard run. So that's a guy that doesn't worry about what happened in the past. He's upset about it, and he made up for it. And that's the growth, I think, that you have with Devontae Jackson.
Coach, you're at 3-0 on the football season right now. Are you 3-0? There's 3-0 and there's 3-0, and it looks like we, for the most part, played 3 good football games.
We have played 3 good teams. We've played 3 good football games. We are proud to be 3-0 right now. Obviously, you can't be any better than that, but I'm proud that we have defeated 3 region teams. And now we roll into conference this Saturday for our first conference game. So now starts a new stretch of our season. We want to obviously win the conference, and it all starts this Saturday with Florida Tech. So hopefully we'll have a good week of practice and get ready for these guys.
Coach Engelhardt always they've got a good football team each year. They bring some good players in. What are we looking at with the Panthers?
Well, they're very athletic. They have probably maybe the best defensive end in the country. I think from a pass rush standpoint, he is dynamic and can change a game in a hurry. He gave Delta State fits last week, and he's a guy that can change the game in a hurry. Outside of him, their whole defense is very athletic. They run very, very well. They run a power type offense and run a lot of counters and misdirection type things. They also throw the ball very well. So it's kind of a mixture of things that they do. You're going to face a team that's very athletic, very, very much like us. They've got speed. They play very hard. And the one thing about Florida Tech is every year that you face those guys, they're going to be very well coached.
Yeah, it's odd. We've played them, 4 or 5 times. They've been in the league and joined the Gulf South in football. It always has that street fight mentality. It's going to be a 60-minute physical war when these guys show up.
It is, and they've had West Georgia's number here for the last 3 years. They beat them 2 years beat us 2 years in a row, and then last year we had to have that interception by Jakyron Young at the end of the game that broke a tie, and that was in the last minute of the game. So we were in a dogfight with them last year, and you look back in the 2 years previous to that, Florida Tech has defeated West Georgia. So we know we're going to be in for a battle. I think these guys get excited to play West Georgia. And anytime you can come into our stadium and have an opportunity to knock us off, people are going to look forward to that.
Speaking of what you just said, our stadium, what a great time to get this campus and get this community behind this football team.
Well, it was. We were last Saturday in Albany was a great atmosphere. If you looked over there on Albany's side, they were completely full. There was no seats available over there, and it was loud. It was rambunctious. When they were rolling, when it was up 21-10, it was loud, and our guys overcame that, and that was exciting to see. I would love to have our stands be like that, where see how somebody else responds to a home crowd and the way that we're playing. But hopefully we're going to have some folks that are going to come out and watch us play, watch these kids play. They deserve it. They're playing very hard. In my humble opinion, I think they're representing this community and this school very well right now, and hopefully we're going to continue that trend and continue to play hard and keep putting that product out there that everybody can be proud of.
How's the health coming out of the Albany game?
We actually came out very well for a physical football game. We came out extremely well. We had 3 guys that did not play in the game. Malik Henry did, again, for the second straight week, did not play with the knee injury. We had Brandon Walton with a back issue that did not play. Hopefully we're going to get those guys back. So, but from a standpoint of the guys that played in the game, other than some bumps and bruises, we should be good and didn't lose anyone.
Fans, it's a great opportunity. It's a 2 o'clock kickoff Saturday on Rayland Field, the Florida Tech Panthers, the West Georgia Wolves. This has been a great series, especially the last 4 years. We've won 2 of them. They've got 2 of them. And let's see if we can put ourselves back on the front burner as far as that goes. 2 o'clock kickoff. It's Hall of Fame weekend. 5 legends will be inducted at halftime here coming up this weekend. We get David Johnson. We get Eddie Duffy. We get Teresa Paney, Teresa Wheeler, she is now a volleyball player, and a couple of football greats, Mark Evans and Courtney Roebuck. You might have remembered on the gridiron for West Georgia, two of the finest young men to ever wear this uniform, and they will be enshrined in the Hall of Fame. It'll be a fun atmosphere, a fun day. We hope you'll join us. For Coach David Dean, I'm Mitch Gray. Thanks for joining us for the David Dean Show, and go Wolves!